What's going on, everybody? Ernest Christian here on Earnestly Podcast. This is actually July 7th. Well, recording July 7th, 2019. This will be on your feeds on Monday morning, July 8th, 2019. How you guys doing here? Happy to be here, of course. I sound tired because I am tired. I actually didn't even plan on doing a podcast tonight. I actually had a podcast planned early this afternoon with my good friend Dave Ramil, who is the host of the Locked On Heat podcast. We're going to do an entire NBA free agency wrap-up. The problem was, because the past tense, that booking, and I think I explained this to you guys before on the show about a few episodes back, doing podcasts and planning podcasts with guests is a little more challenging during the summer when you have kids at home from school that are very unpredictable. Okay, and I remember we're a working family, so my wife isn't here to stay them off for me for 30 minutes to do it. I had planned to do the show at 2 o'clock this afternoon with Dave. Dave was great. Obviously, he's ready to go when need be. Then I had to tell him I had to postpone it because my kids were not up to it. My kids were not, one wouldn't, my small one, my youngest one, Logan, wouldn't nap. The oldest one, 6-year-old, wouldn't necessarily give me time to do it. I was unprepared. So there you go. So I think I'm now at a point where I think I'm gonna probably not do any more guests until August, until my oldest son's in school. So I know when I put my kid for nap, on the afternoon shows, when I have doing shows in the afternoon, that I know I have 30 minutes to an hour or two actually getting in. So I'm really contemplating not doing any more guests for the rest of the summer. Now, to be fair, I do enjoy the solo podcast I've been doing. I really do enjoy it. So it's not one of those things where like it's like a major loss for me. But I do like the balance of having guests on the show, having their expertise, giving their perspective, and I'm sure that you guys probably at some points hate hearing my voice all the time. Although, why would you describe this podcast if you do want to hear my voice? Because I am the main talent on this show. But anyway, that's what it is. I had it planned, planned all week, and we're going to try to get it in, and we may still do it this week. We'll see if I ever find even 30 minutes to get it in, but again, it's a challenge now because you have kids at home and they demand your time and sap all your energy out of you. I'm not complaining. I love being a dad, and I don't want to sound like I'm complaining, because I think the last couple episodes, the last couple of shows I've done here, I've kind of come off a little bit bitchy to some degree, I think. But I do love being a dad. I love it. But of course, the reality is, when you have two young kids, they demand all your time, and you gotta carve out time for yourself. You gotta hold back enough energy to do this. Like, I literally right now didn't even want to do this tonight, but I kept 20% of energy I had left to dedicate to doing this show tonight. Even if it's gonna be about a 30-minute podcast, it's still something I want to keep going. Cause I don't want to fall behind and have weeks. I remember I had almost 2 weeks in between shows, and I didn't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I want to continue putting shows in, even if it's smaller podcasts, even if it's a 10-minute check-in. Cool. We'll do, at least it's something, so. Now, the last episode we talked, we did discuss NBA free agency at large. At the time, Kawhi Leonard had not decided where he was going to go. Now, Kawhi Leonard is not only a Clipper, so is Paul George. Paul George was also traded to the Clippers, I should say Saturday morning, because I got the text, the alert from my phone at 2:30 in the morning. It's funny, like I was actually still awake at the time, and I had worked till about midnight, 1 o'clock, and got home, whatever, wife had me awake. We had a little discussion, how things are going, check in real quick, and then I was awake, and while we're doing that, my phone bleeps, and here he goes. Kawhi Leonard officially to the Clippers. 2 minutes later, I see another alert. Paul George also to the Clippers. Like, what the hell happened here? And no one knew anything about Paul George. It certainly wasn't reported publicly at any point. And I was on top of this stuff from the word go, on Twitter and vice versa. So Kawhi, won a second star, and he got a second star going to the Clippers. And I'll say this much: I'm not a Laker hater, but I think the Laker fans in recent years have warned me a lot to the point where, like, when they don't get their way, I sort of, like, bathe in that glow, bask in that glow, because I'm not getting their way. Now, to their credit, they didn't have a bad offseason. They got Anthony Davis. They still have two of the arguably 5 best players in basketball, coming out of this offseason. So it's not a bad time for the Lakers right now. But there's a lot of question marks for the Lakers going forward. I think right now, obviously, if you look at the timeline and look at the odds right now, and this is my opinion, I think the Clippers deserve to be the favorites to win it next year. I mean, they've filled the roster pretty nice, even before getting Kawhi. You got Kawhi and Paul George to that team now with Patrick Beverley, Lou Williams off the bench, stable front office, all that. I think they have the most stable and probably, in my opinion, the best chance to win it all. But the coolest thing about him going to LA to the Clippers is now, and I tweeted on this on, I think, Friday night or Friday afternoon, that I believe for the first time in 25 years, since 1994 season when Jordan retired for the first time, after his third title, I think we have true parity. Like, we really don't know who, like, the Clippers are the favorites, yes, but we really don't have a favorite this year. A true odds-on favorite to win it all. Like, you can really make a case right now for literally 8 to 10 teams to realistically win a title this year. You look at the Clippers, the Lakers, obviously, when they're healthy, Milwaukee, Utah, Houston. I will still say the Warriors, if Klay comes back on time and they're still doing their thing. A lot of teams right now, Philly, 7th team. You have literally 7 to 8 teams that you can realistically say have a really good chance to be in that conversation to win a title this year. And it's great for the NBA. We've been asking for this for years about true parity in the league, and now we finally got it. Because, again, we said this on the pod last week. Kawhi Leonard held to balance the scales of power in the league. If Kawhi goes to the Lakers are the heavy favorites to win it all next year. If Kawhi goes to Toronto, they might be the favorites or the second favorite to win it all out of the East. And if he goes to Clippers, possibly the same thing also. And you've seen it. So now the true parity now is now with him winning the Clippers. Even if he went to stay in Toronto, but the same thing. I mean, it's something good parity. So we're here. We're here now. And I really cannot wait. I know football's on the corner, and I'm really excited for football coming up in the coming weeks. But my God, NBA is going to be amazing next year. I cannot wait for the NBA season to start next season. So this week has been a very, I'll just say it's been a very challenging week for me personally. I've had to come to terms with a lot of things personally. Nothing really bad necessarily, but a lot of things I put off for years, mental health, all that stuff. So I've had a rough week professionally to some degree. I had a rough week personally this week to some degree. No deaths, by the way, for the record. But, I don't really, when I don't deal with, it's only been in the last couple of weeks I started dealing with my mental health a little bit to some degree, which I never diagnosed anything. Of course, I haven't done that yet. One of the reasons why I stopped using Facebook was because I wanted to sort of cut out things that were distractions to me, mentally especially too. And I think I've come to the realization that I actually have anxiety. I haven't diagnosed it, but I know based on the symptoms I had, people have said that I think you have a lot of anxiety. And I believe that. I've kind of come to terms with that. This week I hit a little 2 or 3 day depressive. I was depressed, but I won't say I suffer from depression, but I was a little down this week. There was a couple of points this week I was actually kind of out of it. Like I was in bed a lot. I was binge eating to some degree. My brain wasn't really there. There was a 3 day period with this week where I was just not there. Not as, especially on the 4th of July weekend, which is actually a holiday I do enjoy. I tend to go to my family's house to go to, barbecue or whatever, and I didn't even do that. I had no energy to leave the house to do any of that stuff. I was just out of it. I was just not feeling it this week. I hate saying this, but I was actually, I was very short with my kids this week. Like everything they did irritated me to some degree. So I felt bad, obviously. So it's been a really rough week for me personally, and I'm dealing with anxiety now. I think I do have anxiety. Not diagnosed yet, but I really believe I do suffer from that based on my behavior whenever things get kind of challenging. But the good thing for me now is that at least I'm addressing the issues now. Like I've always been one growing up to not really like look at things, like really take if it's an issue. In other words, I'm not one to really. I try to brush off the problem. No big deal. I'm a tough guy. I can take care of it. Let's move on. Let's plow forward. And for nearly 40 years, I've been that guy. I've always been the guy just to say, you know what, no big deal. Let's move forward. It's no problem. It's just, it's another challenge. We'll get over the hurdle, whatever. But lately, I felt like I've been feeling like I needed to address the issues, because for me to come to terms, for me to truly better myself, for me to really get to a place where I'm even more happy. I'm not saying I'm unhappy, but there are times where I'm like, and this week kind of showed that, where I'm like, some things are, I need to work on, and I need to come to terms with that. And I think dealing with my anxiety it's something I've started to really deal with, and it was a rough week. It was a really rough week for me personally. And again, it's one of the things you have to go through to, but you also have to. I really feel that for you to truly, make sense of it all, you need to address it and be honest with yourself about how to handle these situations. And luckily for me, I think this week I've done that to some degree. Obviously, there's more to go. There's more to do. My wife's been amazing with this, helping me out with that. Being able to lean on her for to talk to her. She's not one to shun the stuff. She's one to always, make sure that we address the issues head on. Part of the reason why we work so well is because we've always, every time we had issues, we've always figured it out in the moment. We never really let things slip by. We always make it, a priority in the moment. And for me personally, there's a lot of things where I tend to brush off, and you may brush it off in the short term, but later on, it will definitely affect you. So once I start seeing myself being more short with my kids and moody around my kids to some degree, it was so bad that I actually called my mother-in-law on Friday to, give me a break, give me a 2-3 hour break, because the kids were rough. The kids were a little bit too much this week. They were a little bit much. They don't care about how you feel. They have their own needs, and they're kids, and you have to find a way to meet those needs no matter what. So I needed a break, and so luckily I was able to, on Friday when I hit the wall Thursday night, my wife decided to take me out to breakfast, to a new place actually we'd never eaten before, which we really didn't enjoy, honestly, in hindsight. But it was all about me getting out of the house. I need to get out of the house. I need to just be away for a little bit, just to kind of grab some sort of normalcy real quick, personal clarity, whatever you want to call that. And it helped a little bit. It really did help. It's one of those things where, like, again, you have to address the issues head on. Dealing with anxiety, dealing with depression, this is why I stopped using Facebook for, now 2 weeks. It's because I those things are just distractions, and they don't fix the problem. They just, actually, to be honest with you, I would dare say, in my case, it worsens the problem. Just my opinion. So it's funny, like, I never really dealt with mental health until I got married, until I met my wife. And I'm not saying she deals with that mental health, but, her family, people in her family have had those issues. I was never exposed to that until I met her. But it's one of those things where, you deal with it as it comes, and you have to just kind of be honest with yourself. So I personally need a vacation. That's what I need. I know we're going away to Orlando for a few days, but we really don't have the time or really the money to really to do a real vacation. What I mean by that is that we really don't have the time to go away for a week or two like this. Correct. Right now we have so many goals. Right now, so many things we're doing right now in the short term to better our situation, better our lives in the long term. And by for us to say go to New York for a week, it's gonna it's gonna put a major it will definitely impact what we're doing now in the short term. So we just take what comes. I'm lucky that my work schedule is fairly it's light to the point where I'm home 4 days a week. Whereas I work versus working 3 days a week. I work not 3 days a week. I work longer hours, but but the thing is, the 4 days a week I'm home, I'm with my kids, so I don't really never get a break, unless I'm like napping or if my mother-in-law comes over or my mom comes over to take the kids somewhere for a couple hours. I don't really get a break, so you just have to deal with it. But again, I mean, I'm trying to just being honest here, man. It ain't easy, man. Life ain't easy. Being a parent ain't easy. Being a husband ain't easy. You just gotta go through it. And if you can identify the problems you do have, you address it and you fix it. So that's that. Now, I just said a little while ago, I've been off Facebook for 2 weeks. To be honest, I don't miss it for the most part. There are moments when I'm thinking, I should go back and see what's going on there. But the people I'm close to, who I talk to on a normal basis, I'm not missing anything, to be honest with you. And to be perfectly honest, I just don't. I like the less is more mentality I have right now. I'm actually thinking about like not cutting off Twitter, but definitely next couple weeks slowing down tremendously on Twitter. Because I think one of the things I've done, is that while I'm not on Facebook anymore, I've been spending a lot more time on Twitter, which I really shouldn't be doing either. I think the idea is to get off, is to lessen the social media as a whole. Now I'm on social media as much as I was on Facebook, but I think if I can let go of Twitter a little bit to some degree and even some Instagram, I'll be okay. But it feels good. It feels like I have my life back to some degree. I don't want to get, I said I don't want to, but I've been there already when it comes to like social media. But I'd like to get to a point where I can actually embrace going outside again with my kids and, doing things when I was younger, like going out and, get the fresh air out there and whatnot. Problem is, Florida's hot as hell. So for me to take the kids out, for example, to go to the park or for walks, I have to find a way to go. I would normally we'll go early in the day before it really gets hot out here, and then maybe later in the evening, if I'm home, of course, when the sun's going down. Because during the day, between like 10 and 5 here, it's horrific. The humidity is horrible. It's just steaming hot, and then not only that, since May it's been raining a lot here, a lot of rain here. So it's one of those things where you have to, I guess you have to find the time. Like doing this podcast today, I had no desire to do a podcast today, but I knew if I didn't do it today, I wouldn't be able to get in here until probably Wednesday or Thursday, and I want to get a show in ASAP. So I saved enough energy to 20% of energy left that I put in my kids today and all that to drain the remaining amounts of, space and energy into doing this show today. Like, I don't think, like right now, we're now almost 20 minutes into the podcast. I don't think I'm doing a good job. I feel like I'm slurring some of my words. I feel like I'm just like rambling and whatever. That's part of the deal. But, you see what you get, right? What you hear is what you get, right? So it's one of those things where, hey, live and learn, right? That's what you gotta do. Okay, so it's gonna be a shorter pod today for some degree. Finally, the New York Mets. We now hit the All-Star break in baseball. To be fair, I haven't really watched much of the season this year. It's weird because like I get dedicated for the first month of the year. I'm like excited about the opening day and opening weekend, and the Mets win the first game of the season. I'm like, okay, the team's gonna be great this year, and then you get into May and then you get into June and the team stinks. Now we're in July, All-Star break. The Mets are 10 games below 500. They're 13.5 games out of first place behind, I believe, Atlanta. Is Atlanta in first place? does it even matter who's in first place or not? I don't really care, because it's not us. It's not the Mets. There's same games back in the wild card. It's terrible. It is Atlanta. They're having a great year. And the only bright spot for the Mets this year really is Pete Alonso, who has 30 home runs, through the All-Star break, and it's really good to see. But it's sad because again, the Mets, this is 4 years ago, were in the World Series. They were a playoff team, 3 years ago. Injuries sapped the team out for a year or two, and you think this year will be the year they can come back and do what they gotta do. And again, this is the same old Mets. The same old Mets just stink. And the worst part is, I'm not a Yankee fan, so the Yankees are balling. The Yankees are having a great season. So it's kind of depressing to have the Mets, be so shitty, and here the Yankees here just tearing everybody up. They're like nearly 30 games over 500. I mean, it's not fair. But one of the things I adopted last year, because I try to not let sports depress me. There was a time when I was younger, like I love sports, but I don't. I've learned as I got older, to separate the two. The emotional investment to some degree. So last year, what I adopted was if the Mets aren't that good by July, if the Mets are not competing by July, competing for a playoff spot or wild card, whatever it may be, then I just check out. I'm not gonna. I started treating the Mets seasons like TV series. If this season is not that good, I'm not gonna watch your TV show. The same should apply to sports teams. So in the case of the Mets, if the Mets aren't that good, I'm gonna check out. So I've already sort of checked out. The only reason I'm even somewhat interested in the Mets this year is because of Pete Alonso. I hate saying that because, oh, you're a real fan. Well, it's nice. It's fun to say that, but when you have kids and stuff and responsibilities, and you got a team that stinks, am I really going to invest 3 hours watching a team that stinks? That's going nowhere anyway. Like, come on. So I've treated the Mets that way to some degree. I've treated the Giants that way to some degree. I think last year also to some degree. I think the only team I don't really treat that way is the Heat. I think because the Heat have always competitive. Always battle for a playoff spot or something. So that's the only thing I think really. And plus, I'm a basketball honk anyway, so it works out that way. The Mets stink this year again. It's just sad to see. I thought this year would be the year they at least got a wild card. The division was supposed to be wide open. There's no dominant team right now in this division. But the Braves are balling this year, so obviously that's changed. I don't know. It's a sad season again for the Mets, and unfortunately, I'm not going to waste my time watching the product if it's not going to improve. So, and again, this might be the last time to talk Mets baseball on this podcast, unless to turn things around. So, yeah. Anyway, I think I'll call it there. I'm exhausted. I think I just spent all my 20% left for you guys. So again, I'm on Twitter at EJChristian7. As for the podcast, my wife and I, by the way, we were supposed to drop that this last week on July 4th. Unfortunately, we weren't able to due to time constraints and other life stuff. We weren't able to drop the podcast. We are, however, going to drop the podcast later this week. So that is the plan. So till then, love you guys, and until next one, see ya. Thank you.